So today we're going to be reviewing the Chalkola watercolor brush pen set. The people from Chalkola were really nice and decided to send me a set of 26 colors, and it comes with a pad of watercolor paper and a water brush. In the past, I didn't really have a lot of experience with watercolor brush pens. These were probably the closest things to what I'm going to be trying out today. I used the ZIG Clean Color brush pen, but I never really knew how to use it. So I pretty much bought it just because I like the color. So these two pens are the Pentel water brush pens, and I believe they're not waterproof, so I guess in a way you can use them like watercolor brush pens, but it probably won't be as smooth. So inside this box, we have a few things. So first off, we have one of these water brushes. I've used a lot of these kinds of brushes before, but I've only used the Pentel brand. You fill this tube up with water and you can squeeze the liquid out and it'll push through into the brush. So you can control if you want a dry brush effect by just using the brush as is without squeezing water into it, or if you need more water to dilute your paints, you can always press it and then more water will squeeze out here. These are good for traveling, but I'm not really into using them at home just because I still like the regular brush and a bucket of water. It feels more controllable versus this. Sometimes it's kind of spontaneous and does its own thing. Alright, so next in the box are the 26 colors. There's a lot of different colors, but I do wish that there were more like pastels or lighter colors. When you tend to use colors that are all this saturated, the artwork can come out to be a little bit, I want to say, like a little cheesy. So like once you mix in a bunch of lighter colors and lighter tones, it'll kind of balance itself out. So maybe I can try diluting it with water and see how that goes. I've seen people scribble this on like a palette and then using the water brush to pick up the paint from the palette and coloring that way instead of using it straight from the brush. So I might try to do that today as well. And the last thing is this watercolor pad that comes with 15 sheets. It's cold press and it's ideal for mixed media. So I'm not really sure how I feel about this palette. I did try it a little bit, but I think I'm just so picky with paper that I kind of want to use my own, because I do prefer either a more textured paper or just like completely smooth. This is cold pressed, so it's supposed to be a bit bumpier, but from what I can feel, it's very smooth. And it kind of, to me, feels like newsprint a little bit. Yeah, but maybe we can like test out swatches on this and see how it reacts to the paper. So I think I'm going to try drawing a plant on my table. I want to try to mix these two colors, but we'll see how that goes. So the tips on these pens are really nice, and they always go back to a very nice point. And what I'm noticing right now is this color that I put down earlier isn't fully dry yet. So when I apply like a darker color next to it, it's kind of mixing and bleeding into that color. So if you want to get that effect, I guess you just have to work very fast. And also, the more color you lay on, the darker it gets. So next, I think I want to try using palette paper and just brushing the color onto it and then applying it onto the paper and see how it reacts that way. Let me see, let's draw maybe like a tomato. So I got some red and some green. And it lays down very flat and even this way, which is great. So right now I'll be trying to swatch the colors onto the paper. So this is a paper that they included inside of the box. So this is all 26 colors, and there are a few colors that I really like this peach color, this pink color, this yellow color, and the ultramarine. When you have this many vivid colors in like a set, I think the best way to approach like color theory and making things look cohesive is by just selecting out maybe 3 colors to color with so that you have a limited palette. And as for like flat washes for like the overall shape of something, I think you can use it that way, like straight up like that. But I think for me, I prefer more pastel colors and things that are lighter so that when I put line art or something over it, it kind of has a lot more contrast. Versus if everything is saturated, it's kind of hard to like know what you're looking at, and like there's no depth and all that jazz. I definitely recommend these pens for like line art like this, but maybe putting it over like a watercolor painting that you did with just normal watercolors, because these are really nice liners, and especially for beginners, if you don't really know what you want to make, or like you're just experimenting with materials, I think this is a great affordable set in that sense, and you have like plenty of colors to play around with. I think now I'm going to try doing an illustration using these brushes as like the liner, but I'll probably use regular watercolor for the base. So this is the final drawing, and I think it turned out really cute. I still wouldn't use it as like a flat wash kind of material to use, because I guess that's like a personal opinion, because I don't really use like brush pen liners for flat washes in the first place. But I think if you really want to experiment with different materials and you don't have a lot of budget to do so, I think these are a good set to try out. And yeah, they're really fun to play with, and the water brush worked pretty much exactly like all the Pentel ones that I've used. And honestly, you would probably want to replace these every so often anyways, because the tip and the sponge and everything gets too dirty. So here's just a little update, but I ended up playing with the brush pens a lot more, and I found out that I really like them, more so for line art and less for filling in like colors and stuff. So for like the light blues and these splotches right here, I just used my Winsor & Newton palette, and then the line art, which is like this beautiful dark emerald green, and then the little cheeks, I used the brush pens that they gave me, and I think it turned out really nice. So the point is always pointy. Like sometimes when I use brushes, when I like spread out the brush too much to make these really big strokes, the brush tip doesn't really go back to its point, and it kind of just destroys the tip. But I noticed that these are really good at keeping their shape, and I think possibly I could mimic this watercolor a little bit, like the light blue, with these pens if I really tried. And so I think these are a good investment for like if you're just starting out. Also this raccoon right here, this is mood. This is my mood all the time.